Scenario: you're going in the office or booting up your computer for an interview with your future employer. They jump right into it. And first question is, tell me about the OSI model. It's easy to just say, sure, and go down the 7 layers of the OSI model. But why are they even asking you this question? I can assure you they're not just asking you this for no reason. In this video, we're going to go over the interview experience and how to think of the question when it's being asked to you during an important conversation before you're undoubtedly being awarded the role you're diligently interviewing for. Let's not dance around the point here. They're asking you this question to gauge your understanding of how to troubleshoot the vast majority of all their networking issues. They also know it's not enough for you to just be network smart, but they know it's important for you to have a system of understanding. Having a system also saves time. I've taken many network interviews, and it's very common for the interviewer to tell me about how people can go very far off on the deep end, chasing a simple problem with complex techniques, making things ridiculously hard, all due to a lack of structure in their troubleshooting steps. Why is this important? We usually get paid by the hour, which means if you're taking 2 hours to resolve an issue that would have been resolved in 5 minutes had you started from the bottom of the OSI model, then essentially the company has lost money. Think about it like this. You're getting paid on the value of work provided in a given amount of time. So efficiency is key. As a way to help with the theory and thought process behind OSI model interview questions, especially for the people in the back that might not be familiar with it, let's break down the layers and give you another perspective on how to think of each layer that might be a little easier to grasp and understand from both sides of the spectrum. Layer 1, the physical layer. The idea behind why you never want to skip this step is very simple. You don't want to have a missed opportunity. What do I mean? Tell me, have you ever had an experience where someone came to you with a problem and the answer was staring them right in the face? That's usually what skipping the physical layer troubleshooting does for you. It's easy to downplay the importance of physical layer, but it's the layer that actually is responsible for transmitting the raw data. Without confirming all cables and cords are properly seated and working optimally, it's going to be common for you to start around layer 2 or 3 and work your way down, which can dramatically slow the time it takes to resolve what may be a simple issue that could literally be plug and play. Employers know it's all about having a system. If you have a system, then there's a certain level of consistency among resolution accuracy and the time it takes to resolve issues. It also assures that all simple tasks have been performed before needing to deep dive, which saves time and face. Trust me, you won't feel good about asking a higher up a question and you have to explain to them that you didn't do all the steps before asking for help. Doesn't feel good. Layer 2, the data link layer. The theory behind asking this question is to see if you can troubleshoot through node-to-node data transfer techniques, which in English just means, can these devices see each other? Do they know of each other's existence? That's kind of important when it comes to communication. As a data link example, imagine you're having a fancy cocktail party at your home. All guests invited to this little soiree are actually in attendance to our knowledge, and everyone has all formally done their respective meet and greet. Among the meet and greet, you discover some of your guests have no one to greet. In other words, communication between these people or devices are not happening, and that conversation is important to the objective of the party. The data link layer works the exact same way. If there is no meet and greet or acknowledgement of existence, there cannot be any communication. If you decide to skip this layer, then move straight to a higher level of troubleshooting, which is similar to checking parking lots or surrounding neighborhoods for your missing guests instead of starting with the other rooms inside the house. You open yourself up to too many paths of resolution except the one that leads straight to the primary communication issue. And now, layer 3, the network layer. You might think this is the spot. This is the layer. This is the reason why I'm here. And if you're thinking that, then my friend, you are correct. This is usually the point in the interview where details definitely matter. But so does the presentation of your knowledge. These questions are aimed at evaluating a candidate's understanding of IP routing, addressing, and connectivity, the core concepts. At this level, they're basically checking to see if you understand the nature of the beast. Awareness is key. In my experience, most employers understand you're a human being. You might not be able to remember every small detail, but it's very important to think about this area like folders on a computer. You want to know about as much as possible, but you only need to drill down to the next layer as much as needed. For example, your role might require you to know about OSPF, among other things. It's important to expand on what you're asked about directly, but for everything else, a general understanding of what they are and can give a brief overview of how those protocols work is usually more than enough. No need to over-explain. It's generally best to start with a concise, high-level overview of each protocol and only go into deeper details if the interviewer specifically asks. This approach serves two purposes: time management and gauge interest. Time management, because interviews often have limited time and diving deeply into each protocol can quickly consume that time. Starting with a summary helps you address multiple protocols effectively. Gauge interest, because interviewers might only want to assess whether you have a fundamental understanding of some concepts, but want to see if you can articulate core concepts clearly on others. For example, if asked about BGP, you might say BGP is the path vector protocol used for routing between autonomous systems on the internet. It's known for its scalability and uses attributes like autonomous system path and next hop to select routes. Then if the interviewer asks more about path selection, then you can deep dive into attributes like MED, local preference, and wait. By beginning with a summary and offering details only when prompted, you stay focused, relevant, and give the interviewer control over the depth of the conversation. This demonstrates you're both knowledgeable and sensitive to interview dynamics. Layer 4, the transport layer. The transport layer is like the delivery manager of data within the network. Its job is ensuring that messages are sent from one device to another reliably and in the right order. Focusing on the four main concepts of transport, which is segmentation, connection management, flow control, and error checking. Y'all know I like to give examples to bring home these concepts. So imagine you're ordering food from a restaurant. The restaurant packs the order into separate bags for each part of the meal: appetizers, main course, and dessert. This makes it easier to transport each part separately. That's segmentation. Concept 2, connection management. Before delivery starts, you and the restaurant confirm details, which are the address, what was ordered, and estimated time of arrival. In networking, this is like the transport layer, establishing a stable connection, often through a protocol like TCP. Now for concept 3, flow control. Let's imagine the restaurant has a limited number of delivery drivers and can only handle so many orders at once. If too many orders go out at once, some might get delayed or mixed up. To avoid this, the restaurant spaces out deliveries based on how quickly drivers can handle them. In transport, flow control works the same way. It adjusts the pace of data being sent so it doesn't overwhelm the receiving the devices, ensuring everything arrives in the right order and without overloading the system. Then there's concept 4, error checking. Once the food arrives, you check to ensure each item is there and correct. If something's missing, the restaurant sends it again. In transport, if the data segment is missing or corrupted, it's resent to complete the transmission. Layer 5, the session layer. The session layer is like the conversation manager and networking. It's responsible for setting up, managing, and closing sessions for the continuous exchange of data between devices. There's 4 steps to note about the session layer. For all my fellow gamers out there, we're going to imagine playing an online game with friends, okay? So, step 1, establishing the session. When you join the game, the session layer sets up the session between your gaming device and the game server, creating a secure dedicated line for game data. Then there's maintaining the session. During the game, the session layer ensures that data continues to flow as you play, keeping your connection to the game server active and uninterrupted. And if you're a gamer, that's very important. Okay, next is synchronization. If there's a connection issue, the session layer can restore the session from the last save point so you can jump back into the game without restarting completely. Step 4, terminating the session. Just like how it sounds, when you log off, the session layer cleanly closes the connection, ending the session to free up resources. Layer 6, the presentation layer. The presentation layer acts as the translator of the OSI model. Its main job is to take data and put it into a format that both the sending and receiving applications can understand. This includes tasks like data formatting, encryption, and compression. Assume you're watching a video on a streaming service, kinda like you're doing now. This video is converted into a format that your device can display like MP4. This makes sure the file plays smoothly. That's data translation. Then there's encryption. It keeps your video private. The streaming service encrypts the data before it's sent. When it reaches your device, the presentation layer decrypts it, making it viewable. With compression, it's there to avoid buffering. The video data is compressed before it's sent. This makes the file smaller so it loads faster. And lastly, my friends, layer 7, the application layer. The application layer is the top layer of the OSI model, where users interact directly with applications that rely on network communication. The application layer is what's enabling things like web browsing, email, and file transfers. Simple as that. So in conclusion of all 7 OSI layers, we have the physical layer, which is all about the actual signals, media, and hardware that makes data travel from one device to another possible. The data link layer is all about awareness. If devices are not aware of each other's existence, they cannot talk to one another. This communication, or lack thereof, can tell us precisely what areas of communication are failing. The network layer may very well be the bread and butter of your interview. It's very important to study up on all the protocols they're going to be asking you about. Although it's a lot of information to cover, the importance is to not lay it on too thick until there's a clear focus of interest in your knowledge base on a particular subject. Laying it on too thick in areas outside of key interests can go outside of the objective you're trying to achieve. Transport layer. Just like ordering a meal, the transport layer breaks down and manages each piece of data, confirms details for smooth delivery, and checks for accuracy, making sure you receive everything just as ordered. The session layer manages the start, middle, and end of a conversation between devices, making sure data exchange stays seamless and resumes smoothly if interrupted. It's the reason your game session stays steady and can pick up from where it left off. The presentation layer ensures that data is in the right format, secure, and as small as possible for fast transmission. It's like the behind-the-scenes translator and optimizer for your data, making sure you can watch this video without any issues. Last but not least, the application layer. It's what lets you send emails, browse the web, and share files, providing the final step that bridges the apps with network services. Wow, we've covered a lot of information here. So, as a bonus for staying to the end of the video, I'll leave you with an acronym. Please do not throw sausage pizza away. As a beginner, the order can really throw you off, so it's good to keep this in the back of your mind for times of confusion. I hope you found value in this video. Until next time, I'm out.